New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is turning heads and garnering national attention. He has taken on the special interests. He's standing up to the unions, and he's doing something very rare in politics these days. He's actually following through on the promises he's made on the campaign trail that helped get him elected. And he now joins me in studio. Governor, welcome back to the show.
Great to be here, Sean.
Wow, the skin. What's his name? Jon Corzine, eat your heart out.
We've lost a little weight.
He took some shots at you at the campaign. That was pretty cheap as far as I was concerned.
It was pretty cheap, and he wouldn't even admit that he was doing it, but that's okay. And now, I've got 4 kids between 7 and 16, so it's time for me to get in shape. I got to be there for them.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations. As you have declared, the bluest of blue states, you achieved what many thought were impossible, and that is a Republican victory. You ran on fiscal responsibility, on strong leadership, on taking on unions. How'd you pull it off?
Well, listen, I think people in New Jersey were just fed up with the idea of huge government, big taxes. The government was non-responsive to them. It wasn't transparent. And in the end, we raised taxes 115 times in the 8 years that the Democrats were running New Jersey. And I think people just said they had enough, and they wanted to give me a chance to go do it.
You know, Governor, I couldn't believe this, and I've referred to it often, both here and on my radio show. $70 billion. You talk about all those tax increases. $70 billion of wealth, meaning people that had money that decided to leave the state of New Jersey because taxes were too high. Yep. Do you think you're able to stop that?
I think we are. I mean, we've done some things right away. We vetoed a tax on millionaires in New Jersey because we can't continue to drive that wealth out of New Jersey. We cut the corporate business tax by nearly $100 million in this budget while balancing an $11 billion budget deficit. We can stop it. People don't want to leave New Jersey. They love the state. But if we're going to continue to keep our hands in their pocket, well, then they're going to leave and go someplace where they won't.
You know, this is what's interesting here, because you have used your veto pen. You have an $11 billion deficit. You are proud of the fact, and you're saying, I'm not going to raise taxes. You resisted a massive push by the legislature of New Jersey to put a tax on millionaires, and now you're calling all these legislators back into session tomorrow, heading into a holiday weekend. You're not a very popular guy in Trenton.
Well, no, but it makes me more popular around the state of New Jersey because they know Trenton is broken and it needed to be shaken up, and they want their property taxes capped. And we're calling him into a special session to say, let's put a 2.5% cap on property taxes in New Jersey, which are already the highest property taxes in America.
Are you prepared to keep them there over the 4th of July?
I'm prepared to keep them there as long as I need to in order to make sure we get the job done.
You know, look, $70 billion of wealth leaving, $11 billion budget deficit. All right, so there's always those people that make the argument that the only way that you're going to increase revenues is to increase taxes or increase fees. You resist that. So then the question is, and I'm a supply sider, but I want you to explain it in your words. How do you increase revenues? How do you close that budget gap if you can't raise taxes?
Well, it's pretty simple. The more people you have paying taxes, even at a lower rate, the more money you're going to get. Right now we have 9.7% of our people unemployed. We have businesses leaving the state. We're going to set up an entrepreneurial society in New Jersey, encourage people to come and risk their capital there, create jobs. When that unemployment rate goes down and we get more people working, we're going to have more and more revenues in the state. That's the way it works. The private sector is funding the public sector. We've now turned it upside down. The public sector is pulling more and more money out while the private sector is going down. We got to reverse that.
All right, so how do you do that in an atmosphere or when you have one-party rule in Washington, D.C., Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid? They have now, in less than 2 years, accumulated $3 trillion additional dollars in debt. $3 trillion in 2 years in terms of a deficit and deficit spending. That doesn't even include, Governor, health care. So you kind of have the federal government working against you because there's not a lot of economic growth going on nationally. What are you predicting you'll be able to do? When Reagan cut taxes, he created 20 million new jobs. What do you predict over time is going to happen in New Jersey?
I don't know, but what we're going to do is I think in some ways that helps us because we're going to create an oasis in New Jersey. In a desert of growing government, growing taxes, we're going to say, you want to stay in America, you want to be someplace that gets it, that's lowering taxes and shrinking the size of government, come to New Jersey. And that's the way we're going to do it. How many jobs it's going to translate into, Sean, I don't know. Because you're right, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens nationally. But whatever economic growth we're going to have in America, I want it happening in New Jersey.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions. You and some conservatives on some of the blogs, there's some chatter. Because you seem to imply, and this is my reading, you didn't say it, but you seem to imply that you would support some type of comprehensive immigration reform. In the minds of conservatives like myself, alarm bells go off. Does that mean you support amnesty? You know, you were talking about, quote, common sense solutions. You would not having a rigid ideology. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is that we need the federal government to deal with this problem. The question was, what can the state of New Jersey do to fix this problem? And my answer was, the state of New Jersey can do very little to fix this problem. We're not a border state. Yeah. We can do very little to fix the problem. The federal government has to get in. They have to secure our borders, and they have to set up common sense rules to give people a pathway to citizenship. And what I mean by that is, the people who enter here legally have to be given a pathway to become citizens.
What about the people that entered illegally?
Well, you know, my view is they need to get to the back of the line.
And maybe go back to where they...
If practical. I mean, if practical. I mean, I don't think that you're going to be able to say every person who's in this country illegally is going to go back to their country of origin. That's not going to happen. Right. But I don't think, Sean, that people who are here illegally should be able to cut the line in front of people who are doing the process the right way.
All right, it was interesting, because you probably read the article, and a lot of people spun it a little bit differently than the way you're explaining it now.
But, you know, there's only a snippet of the answer. Yeah. And you know, I'm very clear that I'm not somebody who's for amnesty.
Last question, because the only thing I might have a little disagreement with you on, because I love what you're doing, honestly, economically, and I think this is going to be the model of a lot of states around the country. If it doesn't happen in the state of New York, I think, risks bankruptcy. I think that's how severe it is.
I agree.
And I live in the state of New York, and I got to tell you that you can't tax people anymore without chasing them all to Florida. Yep. or a state where they don't have income taxes.
We'll take you in New Jersey when we start lowering taxes.
Listen, I'm open. I really am. I'm not kidding. And I'm New York bred and raised. Here's my question. When it comes to offshore oil drilling, you took a pretty strong stand against it. Wouldn't that be good to become energy independent if we have the resources and off the coast of the eastern seaboard or the coast of California to drill? Why would you be against it?
My question was about New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I said was, no one's ever shown me any studies or anything that says that there are any type of significant oil reserves off the coast of New Jersey. And so I don't want people just out there exploring for the heck of it. And so what I said was, when there's no discernible economic advantage, which there would be if there were a lot, and there's risk to offshore drilling, as we've seen, then when you balance those two, now it's different in the Gulf because there is a discernible economic interest there.
You know, I'm just not going to read any more of the media about you, because every time you explain it, I'm fine with your explanation.
I'm the governor of New Jersey, and that's what I'm talking about, New Jersey and what's happening there.
You won't. I saw Cavuto. He's pressing you. You won't even consider the idea of maybe running for president one day.
No.
Won't even consider it.
No. But
your mind is open. Maybe it'll change.
Listen, you know what?
I'm giving you a hard time. Don't answer one of these stupid questions.
But, you know, listen, you met my wife tonight.
Yes.
Convince her.
Miss Christie, do you have a moment? Come on over. All right. Good to see you, Governor. Best of luck, honestly, in turning the state around. We wish you the best.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And we have plenty more Hannity coming up straight ahead.